worked with us. And I'm glad he's present today. Let us hear remarks from Harold Ford Jr.
Thank you. To Reverend Sharpton and to Governor Patterson, to Senator Gillibrand, to my former colleagues in the Congress, certainly Chairman Rangel and Ms. Maloney and Mr. Nadler, my friend Greg Meeks, to all the elected officials and ministers of the clergy, it is good to be here on this King Day. I remember growing up in Memphis. I had a grandmother. We all had someone in our family who didn't get out of 5th or 6th grade, my mother's mom. She had a big house, we thought. She had 7 rooms in the house. She had a living room, a kitchen, a dining room, a bathroom, and 2 bedrooms. My grandmother and grandfather claimed to love one another, and we believed them as kids, but they slept in separate rooms, and we didn't think anything of it growing up. So we slept in my grandmother's room. In between the living room and the dining room, Reverend Sharpton, was a floor furnace. And my brothers and I had 2 younger ones. We could do whatever we wanted to do in the house, and even outside, as long as we didn't mess up her record player. And by that I mean her floor furnace, when you banged on it too hard. My wife is 28, they don't appreciate this today. We didn't have iPods, and you couldn't put them in a little thing and make the room blow up with sound. She had this big record player about the size of the stage here. And on one side of it, she kept all of her records. In the middle was a big radio dial. And on the other side of it was where you played the records. Now, they made a lot of it. I was born in Memphis. I was a congressman there for 10 years, and I live here now. But when I was growing up there, my grandmother every morning, Chairman Rangel, would make us put her favorite 4 records on. And she liked 45s. Some of you may know what those are. There was a little yellow thing you have to put in the middle of the 45 to make the record play. And on her record player, there was a little hook that would hold the records up. So we put 4 of them on. She loved Al Green because we were from Memphis. She loved James Brown, and there's someone on stage who loves him as well. She loved a little religious group from Memphis called Oris Mays. And she loved the fellow that sang with Stax Records named Johnny Taylor. So we would wrap these 4 records, we didn't know anything about this news, but we would wrap these 4 records around and we would play them while she cleaned and cooked. And my dad was in the state legislature. We'd get dropped off there, my younger brother Jake and I. So we get to running around the house. And sometimes we'd hit that floor furnace too hard and make one of the records drop on top of another record. It would make the record scratch. And it was then that things would change in the house. My grandmother was a disciplinarian. She was not formally trained, but she understood the lessons that could be learned from stern discipline. And in her house, all the furniture, Malcolm Smith, had plastic on it. It wasn't until I was 11 years old that I understood that your furniture didn't have to have plastic on it for it to be nice. My mother would say, your grandmother keeps plastic because her furniture is so nice. But there was one thing that would come out of the plastic, Reverend Sharpton, and that was the cords that you connected the lamps in. And she never put a lamp near an electrical outlet. She had extension cords neatly wrapped around the room. So whenever the lights would go out in the house after we'd bang on the floor furnace because of making the records drop, all the lights would go out because that meant she was using the electric cords for a radically different reason than they were ever been designed to use for. She was this strong, strong disciplinarian. On her house on Sunday morning, I'm always amazed when I meet parents who say they can't get their children to go to church because I didn't know kids had options like that. It was a very straightforward proposition. My mother made fried chicken, rice, and biscuits. I know you're not as country as we are in Tennessee, but we made fried chicken, rice, and biscuits. She did every Sunday morning. And the arrangement was if you ate, you had to go to Sunday school and go to church. I remember my Sunday school teacher, and I ate every Sunday, so I had to go to church. I remember my Sunday school teacher every Sunday always telling me that there were more answers than problems, more Davids than Goliaths, over and over again. It was one of those things I just remembered just to make the 40 minutes go faster so we'd get the service, because I didn't like Sunday school, and I certainly didn't like church service. I enjoyed the choir, but not the long pastoral sermons that would go on. I remember sitting and remember listening over and over again. I remember the book of Psalms So the fear of God is the beginning of all life. I remember that because it was short, and I would hope the pastor would get on with whatever he was going to say and build his message around that sermon. I remember book of Philippians 4, chapter 13, verse, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I remember, as I shared this morning, Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places. I say all of this on this morning because, as Governor Patterson said so well, and Reverend Sharpton has said as eloquently, if not more powerfully, on this day, it's easy to forget why we celebrate. We all get together. And politicians, and I hope to be one again, they all get together and tell you what Dr. King would be wanting us to do and how Dr. King would be upset with this. And then we go right on Tuesday and do what we were doing Sunday, Saturday, Friday before. Some of us, including without the help of Reverend Sharpton, continuing to shine lights, would forget about what this message of justice and hope and peace really was about. We all know we stand on the shoulders of giants, and without him, our president, and certainly this chairman, and I might add Chairman Reagan will come and speak, he's done something on Haiti that no other member of Congress has done, and for that matter, no citizen has done. He's made it possible for those who make contributions this year to our brothers and sisters in Haiti for us to enjoy, and you can't do this unless you're him, I might add. It's made it possible for those of us who make contributions to enjoy a tax deduction last year. Let me say it again to Harlem, because you don't understand. Your congressman and the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, as Chairman Wright said so well earlier this morning, creates the ways and the means, has created a way for those of us to use our means to make a contribution to Haiti and enjoy the tax deduction last year and not this year. Give him another round of applause. And one of the names of not only to Harlem, but to the country. I close on this note. Dr. King was shot and killed in my city, my home city. He was shot on his way to dinner at a pastor's house named Billy Cowles, who was there to pick him up that afternoon, that early evening. Everyone forgets, and Reverend Sharpton put it in context, the kind of strife and hardship he was facing when he landed in Memphis and why he was in Memphis, but he was there to stand up for garbage workers who wore a very simple sign that said, I am a man. And there were men and women, but they said, I am a man to capture it all. He wasn't afraid to be aligned with, wasn't afraid to be associated with. Matter of fact, he was proud to have it amplified, and for that matter, have it magnified around the world while he was in. He gave that famous speech about how he had seen where we wanted to go and how he may not make it there with us the night before, but knew that we would arrive there. All I can think as we watch with horror and pain and sadness what's happening not just several miles or just a few hundred miles from our border in Florida, is that if he were alive today, he'd probably be wearing the same sign, I am a man, on behalf of not only people in Haiti, but people all across our country who want to help, and who in many ways, once we move past Haiti and move past focus on where we can give and how we can be helpful, will shine a light right back on the places that Reverend Sharpton does right here in New York, and for that matter, across the country. It makes very little sense. It makes very little sense at a time of all that's happening in the country that we can't find ways to educate kids better. We can't find ways to take care of veterans better. That we can't find ways as a nation, and for that matter as a city and a state, to ensure that those who need health care can't find it and can't afford it. For if there was ever a time which his message resonates, it needs to be embraced, and for that matter understood and lived not only on Monday, the King holiday, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday afterwards. Now is that moment. We thank Reverend Sharpton for all of his hard work and dedication and life's commitment to these issues, but ultimately it's us who gives life and meaning to what Dr. King taught and what Dr. King meant, and for that matter, what he gave his life for. As my grandmother used to say all the time when she would turn those lights off, she wouldn't really turn them off, she would just yank the cords out and use the electric cord to make sure that we were disciplined the right way. We as a nation need to be disciplined. And if there was ever a day in which an electric cord ought to be used on all of us to remind us of what's good, what's bad, what's right, and what's wrong, it's on the King holiday. Let us take this day not to commemorate and work, but let us take every day around it, in front of it, so next year we can look back and talk about all the things we've done to give meaning to his message of hope, his message of determination, and his understanding that we're all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny, that what affects one of us directly affects all of us indirectly. Thank you, and God bless you.
Power forward.